Just like that, another day, another episode. We are back on track with Mike Marino. Mike, would you like to let the world know who you are and what you do?
Welcome.
I most definitely would love to let the world know. My name is Mike Marino. I'm a comedian, born and raised here in New Jersey. Parents are from Italy. I enjoy making people laugh for a living.
And that is pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Honestly, I'm a huge believer in this saying, laughter is the best medicine, right? But when you get to do it professionally, you're practically a doctor. That's how I like to view it, right?
Yeah.
So how,
That's great.
Your source of comedy is very interesting. But what I want to know is, how do you get your material? Like, how do you come up with that stuff?
Well, just to let you know, what you just said is a statement that's been put out worldwide by one of the most famous comedy club owners in the world. His name is Jamie Masada, and he owns the Laugh Factory on Sunset Boulevard. And he said comedians could be called doctors. We are doctors of the soul. We have the power to cure your day just by making you smile. Because when you make somebody smile, they forget about the crap that they're going through on a daily basis.
That's right.
Just for a little while, but at least we have the power to do it. So if you, case in point, you just said something that took me down a different road, and I forgot about the crazy things I went through today, just knowing, wow, look at this guy I'm meeting in a different part of the world.
Right.
Because of what I do.
It's pretty cool what you do, honestly. Cool. But I really want to know, so how do you come up with your stuff? What is your source, like your inner source? Where do you drive all your comedic like punchlines and your stories, and like what does it come from?
Most comedians come up with everyday life, what they see, what they observe, what's going on. Nowadays, because of all this cancel culture stuff that's going on, the best thing to do is make your routine just about yourself. Right. You can't really be canceled if they're saying to you, you can't talk about that. Well, then maybe I just don't exist. But if you keep it about yourself and your life, most people will laugh because their life is identical to yours in some fashion. Right. Just the other day, somebody asked me, where did stand-up start in your life? Well, most stand-up comedians talk about dating because you're so young when what's going on in your life is you're wondering what it's like to meet a girl and go out on a date and experience that. So those experiences become your stand-up routine. Whereas at my age now, just going to the doctor and finding out I have an ulcer is a new routine that people my age are going to laugh at.
Yeah.
So it changes like with your life.
Cool. So cancel culture, right? Is this something that constantly comes in your mind when you're trying to write new material or you're trying to like book your next show, or do you not worry about it? Because with us, like I really don't care too much to it, right? A bunch of random people behind screen doesn't really faze me at all. But when you're actually out there, right, and your whole shtick depends on everyone liking your show, like, does it actually worry you, or are you like, I'll let this joke slide, or I'll let
it doesn't really worry me,
right?
Because I'm not some super famous guy that's all over Netflix that someone's going to knock on my door and say, oh, by the way, we're canceling your Netflix special because of something you said. Right. I don't think there's going to be too many people coming to watch what I do to pick on me. Actually, I think it's a form of bullying. It's like a reverse bully. Like they come looking for you specifically and you feel like, oh, look, it's kind of hypocritical.
It is.
But it's also the way we grew up. I grew up completely different than anybody who might be saying cancel culture stuff today. So here's it, for instance. Last night, I'm entertaining at a private party. The party was thrown for someone who turned 50 years old. Well, there was a 14-year-old child sitting at a table watching the show. She never looked at me. She always looked at her phone, and her friends always looked at the phone. Mm-hmm. Now, you can't get mad at a 14-year-old kid. They probably just don't know any better. So I can go into my head and say, these kids are just being rude, or realize it's not my audience. They've never seen a live comedy show before. So even if I said one of the funniest things that they've ever heard, they'd rather watch TikTok. So the best thing to do is absolutely nothing. You just don't do anything. Now, I want to, but you can't because their parents are probably there. So the best thing to do is to acknowledge it in a way that it replicas my life when I was 14 years old.
Right.
So it makes all the other people laugh, and these kids might get a kick out of it somehow. So when my father said to me when I was a kid, life is tough. You better have a thick skin. Somebody's going to make fun of you. Don't worry about it. It's not that big of a deal. Maybe you guys even heard this. Have you ever heard this before? Sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never harm me. Well, all of a sudden, sticks and stones are not even in the equation, but names are offending people? Come on.
Yeah, man, I don't know.
Come on.
If
Right?
these 14-year-old girls see what's going on in Arabia, I think the whole of Arabia would get canceled because the shit that goes down here is like, it's very, it's too intense for them. It's way too intense for them. They will break. I promise you, they will break if they come and spend a week here.
Yeah, like people who are canceling all the time, I think they lose perspective on all the problems in the world and just focus on someone saying a joke about, it's just a joke. Have you ever experienced any kind of canceling or, censorship in the time you're doing comedy?
No, luckily I haven't. When I recorded, I'd say my first album way back when, there was no such thing as social media. And to get a record deal, somebody had to love everything that you're doing. And we had a thing called distributing, and you recorded your projects, and your projects ended up in stores like Target, Walmart, and people had to go buy the DVD. So they had the choice. They look at it on the shelf. If they like it and they heard of you, they buy it. If not, it goes in the garbage. And those were big chances. And luckily enough, I had 3 that ended up going in stores. And one of the first sales started in Canada. I never knew I was going to get a deal out of Canada. But some people have an affection for, let's say, a wise ass from New Jersey, and they want to see that type of a thing. And you get lucky.
Right.
You get lucky.
Oh, wow. So never know where you're going to head. Yeah.
Yeah. Because back then you had to really be funny to, make it out in some sort of way. Now it's just, I look at these new age stand-up comedians and it's all the same. Like the whole material. It's all the same. Whereas before, like I feel like the Jerry Seinfelds and the what was it, George Carlin and all these different, like they were funny, but they had something to say, right?
Had a message.
They had a message. They had something. It was very eye-opening. So while you're laughing, you're getting your eyes open to different subjects. Whereas now it's just, I don't get the message. Like it's funny, ha ha ha, okay, but there's no specific message, right? So what do you think is one of the most important messages or message you've ever sent out there in any of your shows?
I think my message is to just be happy with your life no matter what you dealt.
Right.
Because it's going to get either better or worse. But if you fight it, you're going to be in for a horrible surprise. You got to kind of just go with the flow. I mean, I do jokes that make people think, you know what, I should go see what he's talking about. I tell people all the time in my humor, I always say, if you're in a bad mood and you don't know what to do with yourself and you need to find some joy, go to a store, because in a store is everybody from around the world doing the same thing, shopping. But everybody has a crazy personality. And when you watch their experience shopping, it will make you laugh, especially now that we have self-serve and you serve yourself and you check yourself out. Now, I come from a generation where I was a cashier. There was no such thing as somebody doing my job. I knew how to do my job, not the person who came in.
Right.
So now that I check myself out, I can't stop laughing. And I make people around me laugh too, unless they're getting angry at me. So for instance, I was checking myself out at a supermarket and it asked me, do I have any coupons? And I thought the voice was a little loud in the machine. And there were people behind me. So when the machine said, do you have coupons? I said, you know I don't have any coupons. And the people behind me are like, what, is this guy nuts? And then other people going, you know what? He's right. I don't think I brought my coupons. So although it's serious, it's funny. So I turned to the lady behind me and said, I'm sorry, I'm new here. You might want to go around.
This might take forever. Right? But yeah.
So, you know, you can have a lot of fun doing it. And there's also a supermarket here that has a robot, and the robot's on wheels with big bug eyes, and it just rolls around beeping. Nobody even knows what the robot does. So you know I'm going to go in there with my Instagram and I'm going to film it.
There's a robot.
Yeah, why is there just robots?
A robot in the middle of
Nobody knows what the robot does. The robot's walking around.
What's it?
What could it possibly do? It has no arms. It can't pick anything up. It can't help you check out.
But why
what is it? A spy?
I don't understand.
I don't know. Maybe it's looking.
That's a spy robot.
He's not a butcher. He doesn't sell eggs. But somebody spent a lot of money. Yeah, he can't. He doesn't even talk.
That's the point then?
It's a robot.
Like what?
So, as a comedian, you think I'm not going to go in there and start playing with the robot?
No.
I gotta figure this out.
As a college student, I'd freaking go in and start making fun of the robot because, like, what is it? What? It just does not make sense. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But it's crazy, right? So, what I want to know is, go ahead, Eddie.
I just want to say, did you hear about? So there's this Netflix movie that was written by a robot. The robot generated a horror script, and they're turning it into a movie. So I don't know what you think about this whole robot thing. And do you think robots can do stand-up comedy?
Well, I think if we keep on allowing these robots to do what they're doing, who needs a human? What do you need you for?
Right.
You go to the supermarket and you got to do somebody else's job. So that person doesn't need to work there anymore. And I work for free, obviously, because I'm checking me out.
Right.
And if the robot could write a movie, then what do you need a writer for? I always wonder, is anybody paying attention how we're wiping out humans? You're going to wipe us out. You don't need us anymore.
I mean, one day the show might be taken by like two different
robots.
Right? Yeah, both named Ali.
Yeah.
They might ask even better questions than we'll ever do. We'll be jobless.
Well, they'll probably offend me, and I'll say, I'm going to have to cancel your culture, robot. I'm offended by the robot. I had somebody get offended by a joke I did at a place in Nevada. I was on stage and I said to the audience, I went to get a massage today, which was true. But the lady said something that was also true. I said, I'd like to get a massage. She says, we have an opening at 3:00. I says, perfect. She said, what gender do you prefer? So I said, how many choices are there? I thought that was funny.
That's pretty funny.
That's pretty funny.
You have to choose. Some lady got up and started walking out. And I says, why are you walking out? She goes, I'm offended by that. And I go, but why does that offend you? How do you know? How do you know I don't prefer a robot?
Checkmate, bitch. Right?
Checkmate,
honestly,
right?
Checkmate. Yeah, that's just. But it's true. See, they've drawn so many lines around them. This whole cancel culture and these I like to call them special snowflakes.
Yes.
They've drawn a lot of lines around everything to a point where now I think they're confused as to where is the line that they've drawn. You know what I mean? So it gets crazy, and you could easily like just counter whatever they have to say. It's not like
you actually can, and I'm glad that you said that, because people seem to not want to throw back a counter. They just cower.
Yeah.
And say, wait a minute. You cancel what I'm doing? How about I cancel what you're doing?
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
You think my show isn't? Hey, that's offensive. You've offended me there. This show isn't good. That's offensive. You just assume
I'm offended you don't like me.
Exactly. That's literally what they do,
That's
though.
literally what they're doing.
That's literally what they do. It's literally that.
Oh my God.
And it just drives me crazy. I hate this culture. It's so bad.
It's actually a form of bullying in reverse.
It is, man. And it's just,
when we got bullied, I got bullied when I went to high school. I live in the town I grew up in. Right. And when I was a junior in high school, I got bullied by a big dude, And I came home and I said to my father, I'm afraid to go to school. This guy is bullying me. And he goes, stop being such a wimp. Pull up your pants. When you go back to school, start a fight with him. I go, but he's going to kill me. He goes, it's not going to hurt. And once he's done beating you up, I bet you become friends with the guy. And we did.
Yeah.
I sucker punched him, and then he beat me up.
I've been through the same, honestly. I can say.
I thought he was going to go down and not get back up. It's not like the movies. He went like this.
But to be honest, I've been through the same. My best friend today was also my school bully, and it was the same exact thing. Whereas now it's like, oh, he bullied me. Why? What did he do? He called me a he. He assumed my gender.
All right. Yeah.
What's going on
Sticks
here?
and stones, right? Yeah, very
Sticks
strange.
Which is a Dave Chappelle special, right? So speaking of specials, are you planning on doing any specials soon?
I would like to record a new special. I don't have any TV deals, and I don't have any special deals.
Right.
The deals that you saw on the wall are from people who are not even in the industry anymore. So they're from a while ago. And I started doing characters. I have my cousin Mooney, which is a surfer dude. He's supposedly always stoned. I've been doing a girl. Her name's Michelle. And I did that because I was doing a joke about not being comfortable ordering coffee at Starbucks because it makes you order it like a wimp. And people loved it, the fact that I can go from a tough guy to sounding like a girl, which I always did because I was trying to show the industry I have a range of character.
Yeah.
And I wanted people to think, wow, he could be a tough guy and he could do a girl. He could be a tough guy and he could be a stone guy. I also do my Uncle Tommy, who really exists. And he's an old guy in his 90s, and old people say the funniest stuff.
They do.
So I was doing that because I was hoping I'd get on Saturday Night Live and stuff like that. So I came up with some wigs that I bought, and I've been doing the characters, and I made a bunch of videos with the characters. So that's going to be my next taping. And also why I was doing it is because during the pandemic, you couldn't get anybody to come over your house. So I couldn't do scenes with other people. So I did them with myself as somebody else.
That
sounds cool.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see it.
But where do you think you're gonna post all this stuff? Like, are you gonna put it on YouTube, or are you gonna try to sign it off as a deal, or what's the situation there? Because I'd love to see it.
The best thing to do right now for me is YouTube. My YouTube channel's got a lot of people watching. My podcast is on my YouTube channel, live from my mother's basement. I do it on Facebook and Instagram live, and then my producer downloads it and cuts it and puts it up on YouTube. So I did 205 episodes in the last couple of years. I've had celebrities on my show. I've had cooks, chefs, doctors. I'll have you guys on the show. I've never done anything like this, but I think I'll eventually learn how to do this and post it. But I was doing it before the pandemic. So I have a bar in this house. It looks like a nightclub. Got a lot of memorabilia, like in this room. And like my surfboards, my water skis, my clothes. And I put it all around the bar. And I called it Live from My Mother's Basement. So it's fun to sit next to the person that you're interviewing.
Right.
And not have to worry about, getting sick or some crap like that.
True.
So that's the way I like doing it. I'm going to do it again this up and coming Tuesday night. I do it every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock East Coast time.
Nice.
And I've had people who've written books. I had a psychic on my show. I couldn't stop making fun of the guy. Right?
You think that's funny? We had a guy who actually thought he was a vampire. And I couldn't stop making fun of that guy.
I'd love to meet him.
Yeah,
we'll definitely send
vampire guy.
If I had a vampire on my show, I'd go like this. Hey, hey, hey.
Is this teasing you? Is this a tease? Do you feel like you need to?
I'm offended that you chose that side. You got to choose this side.
Yeah, man, it's good. Well, we would love to come on your show. That would be epic. That would be really cool if we could.
Where are you?
Well, Ellie's in Los Angeles. I'm in
Los
Jordan.
Angeles. Yeah.
Jordan?
So,
Yeah, I'm not even in the country, but
I knew you were somewhere out there.
Yeah.
I had gone to Afghanistan, Baghdad, and Kuwait
Oh, wow.
many years ago when they were doing the USO comedy tours, and they sent us out there to entertain the troops.
You came to Kuwait?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. You came to my.
I have a flag, an American flag, that flew over one of the American camps when I went out there to entertain the Marine Corps, and they gave it to me.
Wow.
They gave it to me maybe 6 years after I did the show. They came to the Laugh Factory in Hollywood, and when I was done performing, they stopped the show and they said, the Marine Corps is here. And the kid went up on stage and he handed me a plaque, and he handed me the flag that flew over. I don't know the name of the battalion, but it was a peacekeeping battalion in Kuwait. And then I got this. Watch, I'll show you. Hold on a minute. This is the USO Comedy Tour award. It's Bob Hope, if you guys remember Bob Hope.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is the Oscar for stand-up comedians.
Damn. That's pretty
Hey,
sick.
congrats. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
See?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They called it the Bobby Award.
The Bobby Award. I mean,
Oscar, the Bobby.
Yeah.
So this is Bob Hope, and I got this for going over to many USO tours. You know, I did Japan, Kosovo, Macedonia. And, you know, it's a great experience. The crazy thing was when we went to Kuwait, of course, and Afghanistan, and that's where I was coming up with specific jokes that I was doing. One joke that I ended up doing on Comics Unleashed hit 14 million people worldwide. I don't know if you guys ever saw it, but I said that, see, when we went out there, you know, you're looking at 18, 19, 20-year-old kids that can't leave. And you're like, man, this is some nasty crap here, right?
So sad.
So,
yeah.
I said, if I was running the country, I never would have sent the Army, the Navy, or the Marine Corps to find Osama bin Laden. Two of my friends from Jersey be back in 24 hours. So we'd have found him. I'd have walked right into his cave and said, listen.
Guy is? The guy's like, and he's like speaking. That's a scene right there. You can actually make that into a script.
Oh, well, I did.
You
turned
did?
that into a web series, yeah.
That would be funny. I want to watch this.
You got to hook us up, see, because when I went out there and then I said, you know, 2 times for Jersey, be back in 24 hours, they'd have walked into Saddam's castle. I mean, bin Laden, they were like, hey, Ben, I want to talk to you about something. Now, listen, I'm already mad I had to come all the way out here. You live far from New Jersey. Right? We'd have whacked them. We would have went home with rugs.
Nothing to see here, people.
So after it hit millions and millions of views, I started the web series called Marino 2016, which was me running for president of the United States. And I grabbed about 6 to 10 of my favorite comedians, and then we started filming. And the jokes were just so stupid. You guys will laugh like you have no idea. Picture the comedy version of The Sopranos. That's pretty much what it was. Wow. So then we named the show. We named the show eventually "Make America Italian Again," because you know Trump was saying "Make America Great Again." So we made it "Make America Italian Again." Our platform is you don't know nothing, you don't see nothing, you don't say nothing.
Yeah, basically that's some real monkey ass shit. So So where from Italy are you originally from? So your parents, where did they originally come from in Italy? Was it like
Yeah,
Sicily
no, my
or
mother, no, I'm not Sicilian. I'm Bruzzese.
right?
The Bruzzese people are known for having blonde hair and blue eyes. Maybe they have a Switzerland infection somehow. And my mother is from a tiny little town in Italy called Duronia, which is in Campobasso. And they're all short and their lives are about making food. And that's what started my stand-up career. Because I always wanted to be an actor since I'm a little kid. I grew up doing TV commercials. I was on a soap opera. I never thought I'd be a comedian. I didn't start doing stand-up till I was 30 years old, and I was already in California, and I was already working as an actor. But it's easier to get a career going as a comedian than it is for an actor. An actor, you got to kind of wait, and hopefully you get an audition. Hopefully you get a job. But if you're a comedian, you can create your own career, like when we created the web series. So what I did was I just started talking about what it's like to come from a family who are Italian with blonde hair and blue eyes. And every time I'm in a mob movie, I'm the Irish cop that gets whacked in the first 30 seconds.
Oh, wow.
And away I went. You want to talk about stereotyping?
Has anyone ever, did the Italians get mad at you for stereotyping? Because you have stereotype?
You can get,
yeah,
it happened amongst Italian people because they think I'm acting like a buffoon or saying stuff. You shouldn't be talking like that. But there's always going to be somebody that's not happy. And quite honestly, you kind of can't get mad at somebody who says, well, this is the way my family is.
Right.
They really are like this. So what are you mad about? My mom, if my mother was here right now, my mother passed away about maybe 8-9 years ago, right? If my mother was alive and you guys came over the house, my mother don't know anything about cancel culture. She don't want to talk about it. All she wants to know is what kind of food do you two like? And she's going to make it for you. And if you said to her, you're from Kuwait, she's going to say, well, what do you eat so that I could make it for you?
I mean, I'd probably
you understand?
Make it easy. Yeah, I'd probably be like, because I'm a big fan of Italian restaurants, so I'd have been like,
yeah. But to my
it.
mom, she don't mean to offend anybody.
Right.
She would just think, well, you're from where? I could figure it out, and I'll make you something that you like. Now, you're going to get mad at this woman because she's going to be like offensive somehow?
I'd be very
but that's what
grateful
people would
she's about
say.
To cook me some good ass food.
Bingo. And that's the truth. You know, I had a couple of guys on my podcast that were Muslim, and I put out this big buffet because we eat when we do my show. I have it catered. So the one guy comes over and he goes, are those meatballs? And I said, absolutely. And he goes, I can't eat that. I don't eat pork. And I go, oh, all right. Then don't eat the meatball. And don't eat the sausage, and don't eat the steak, and don't eat all of this stuff. Let me see how you feel when we're done doing the podcast, because I'm going to eat it. And he was like, So he ate the pasta.
Right. That's, I mean, well, I don't do that shit too. Like, I don't even drink, but it's funny how you see sometimes people do get tempted by these things because you can't pass up an opportunity at, a podcast with good food. They'll just be like, but it's good.
We're only being genuine and being happy,
right?
And wanting you to experience certain stuff, certain culture. Like if I went out to Kuwait and somebody said, you want Italian food? I'm like, no, why would I want Italian food? I want to taste something that these guys make.
Right.
That would
next in this little town that I grew up in, there's every culture you could think of, and nobody fights. Nobody fights. There's no crime in this town. Everybody's happy. And if your neighbor is black and the lady across the street is the senior citizen, both of us are going to go help the lady. There's an Indian guy across the street. And he comes over here all the time because he likes to push his food on me. He goes, Indian food is the best food. You don't know. Indian food is the best food. I'm like, all right, put it on the grill. Let's eat.
Put it on the grill. Wait,
but we're not fighting. We're just eating.
I mean,
You know what I'm saying?
Food brings the world together.
And comedy.
And
I
comedy.
think so. I think so.
Yeah.
That's why I should be president of the United States.
Oh man, life would be
Do
so
it.
much easier.
2024.
2024, Mike Marino. Dude,
Make
that was-
America Italian again.
Let's go.
I love doing it. Mr. President, there's an argument downtown. I'm like, yeah, but I just got out of bed. Can't we talk about it later?
Forget about it. Forget about it. I just forget
It's all right. I
about
got it. I got it. I got a guy over there. We'll call him. We'll say, hey, ooh.
Ooh. But it's it's
Mike, I want to know what's your favorite like Italian American movie. We got The Goodfellas, we got Godfathers, we got everything in between. What do you like?
I think the ultimate movie is The Godfather, 1 and 2. And then right up behind it is Goodfellas. And luckily in my life, because of what I do, I met everybody in Goodfellas except for Robert De Niro. And I met them as a performer. Because I was performing and they were doing what they call junkets or press kits or personal appearances when they show up and they sign autographs. So just recently, the last one was the guy who played Henry Hill as a boy. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he was Henry Hill as a boy. They called him young Henry Hill. And he was 14 when he did that movie.
Right, must be old now. Older, yeah.
Well, he's probably 50.
Oh, wow.
He is 69.
No.
I don't know if I have the right Henry Hill here.
The young one, Ali. There's two. There's the older one and the young one.
Goodfellas, young.
Young Henry Hill. You might be looking up Ray Liotta. Ray Liotta might be 69.
Christopher Cerrone.
Okay, so yes, he's like kind of around my age.
Right.
He's got to be around 50.
That's so cool. You got to meet him. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you ask him what it's like to have what it was like to make that movie.
Yeah.
And he told me in that scene where they blow up all the cars, it actually hit him and he felt the fire in his back and it blew him up in the air. 14-year-old kid.
What?
Great scene. Great scene.
It is a great scene. I can't believe that.
All those guys. I met all the guys on The Sopranos, of course, except for James Gandolfini.
Mhm.
And
Did you watch
I
that
haven't
one
seen
movie where one of the members of The Sopranos goes to Sweden?
no, what movie is that?
Let me search that one up. It's a really good one. Oh, Lilyhammer.
Oh, yeah.
You watched
I heard of it.
Lilyhammer?
I've never seen it.
Lilyhammer is really good. It's
yeah?
super fun. Yeah. It's basically one of the characters from Soprano. What was his name? I forgot his name because I watched this like a long time ago. He goes to this little town called Lilyhammer in Sweden, and he starts his own mafia when he's supposed to be, like he's protected by the FBI and what are they called? Witness protection programs.
Yep.
And then,
Was it Vincent Pastore?
I guess so. Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
Story.
He sings.
Does he?
Yeah, I've been his opening act for a bunch of shows, and we've done some live events.
Right.
See, where I am here in New Jersey, there are a lot of famous people that come out of this area. Newark, New Jersey, Jersey City, Hoboken, Asbury Park. In this area, you got Hoboken, Frank Sinatra. Asbury Park, Bruce Springsteen.
Wow.
John Bon Jovi. Danny DeVito.
Oh, wow.
Jack Nicholson. Ray Liotta. Newark, New Jersey. Queen Latifah. Whitney Houston. I mean, some huge stars come out of this neighborhood.
Right.
A lot of people ask me, why do I think so much talent comes out of New Jersey? You have to understand, New Jersey's right on the tip of New York City. the Statue of Liberty is actually in New Jersey, not New York.
Oh, wow.
It's just kind of in the water. So you got to decide, well, what part of the water is she in? But when people came from foreign countries to the United States, the boat pulled into New Jersey. That's where Ellis Island is. So if you look at the Jersey City, Hoboken, and places like this, the influx of Italians back in the day was gigantic. I'm pretty sure, though, they were after the Irish people. And then what became the next generations of immigrants. So in that area, right around New York and New Jersey, is such a tough neighborhood. I don't mean crime, I mean just tough, because there's so many people.
It's intense.
That people work really, really hard to become successful. And that's where you get your Al Pacinos and your Robert De Niros and Harvey Keitels. That's just my thought of it.
They're thick-skinned. Yeah, like what you said.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, wow.
I don't know about now. Like then, you know what I mean?
Yep. Oh, wow. I've never been to New Jersey now. I assume, Ali, you've never been to New Jersey, right?
Nope.
You want to tell us, like, if we were in New Jersey for a day, what should we do?
Well, I would hope that you would have more than a day.
All right.
But let's suppose when you came to visit me, I would take you to where I just mentioned, because they're really old cities, and that's where all the trains are that take you in and out of New York City. And then New York City, don't forget, since it's like a 20-minute drive from where I am. That's where I went to college. That's where I started my acting career. You could just jump on the bus and go into the city. So people in what we call the outer boroughs, like Connecticut and Long Island, Staten Island, Brooklyn, they're the outer boroughs of New York. We actually sound different. To you guys, we probably sound the same, but here we actually sound different. It's a very different accent, very closely, although we're very close to each other. Right. So if you're in New Jersey, you would call Manhattan, New York, the city. We're going to the city. I never even knew it was called Manhattan till I was in my 20s. I'm like, Manhattan? I thought it was the city. No, it's called Manhattan. It's an island. It's an actual island.
Yeah,
you know.
I've been to NYC. I've seen Manhattan. It literally is an island, and it's like
it's pretty crazy.
4 bridges.
It's an island with huge buildings on it. Now you got Staten Island goes to Manhattan. Connecticut goes to Manhattan. Everybody, Astoria, Queens, the outer boroughs, and everybody goes into the city.
Yep.
Not now because of the pandemic, but before.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, when they used to call it the Big Apple, the city never sleeps.
Oh, it took 2 years of a nap, so it's time to wake up.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Right.
now it's got to be woke.
Yeah, right. Not the woke.
I did a joke about that. I said I was always woke. I have sleep apnea.
Well, that's. I believe we've run out of time now, and
no, this is more fun than anything. I don't want to go.
I know.
It's the greatest,
Appreciate
the greatest
your time,
podcast of all podcasts.
Let's go!
Let's do it.
Love to hear
Mike,
that.
that's amazing. Honestly.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, that made my day. But we are officially out of time. Just checking the timestamp now. So thank you for watching another episode of A to the Show. If you guys enjoyed this episode or even laughed half as much as we did, please like, subscribe, and share. We will leave a link to Mike's social media in the description below. Mike, is there anything you would want to shout out or let the world know?
Tell the world, let's get back to being happy and go watch some comedy shows. And stay tuned and watch my podcast and everything at MikeMarino.net. You guys are the best. I can't wait to do the show again.
Let's go! We can't wait to have you back. This is great. Well, coming out from here, peace.
Signing out. Peace.
Happiness.
Thanks,
We'll
Mike.
see ya.